All right, all right. Hey guys, it's
What
us.
my water bottle? Somebody took my water bottle.
We're live.
Yeah.
It's another water cooler Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes, yes.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everyone. We're so happy for you all to join us. Sound like
And look who made it back from their birthday week.
yeah, I did. Yeah. It was a long week. It was a long week, but good week. It's always great to have good friends and clients and that you could kind of hang with. So
There you
yeah, I did have a good time.
go.
So I'm Deanne Branch, EXP Realty, and with me is my
I
co-host.
want to see if you're going to point in the right direction.
I'm not. Hey, I
You
got it.
got it.
I got it. I got it. My co-host.
I'm always surprised when you get that right. Hey, it's Lisa, House Money Mama.
Welcome everybody. So today we want to talk about how do you get those keys? Right, I should have some keys ready.
You should
Like,
have some keys, yeah.
well, we don't have no keys, right? So, but how do you get those keys, right? So each week, showing up there again. It didn't go well.
It went so fast, right? But these car keys, how about this key then, though?
Oh, okay. We just have one. But you want to know, like, how do you what is the steps for the home buying process, and how do you get the keys in order to buy a home, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question for today. So we can always start with
The
what?
lender. Ding, 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 ding. That would be me.
That would be her. Her is the lender, right? So I know, right? I did
Did you really just refer to me as her?
her, right? But no, a lot of people always come to me in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, I want to see this house. I want to see that house. I want to see all these houses." But the truth is, you really need to start with your lender first. Everybody always thinks that they start with the realtor, and
Yeah.
you can start with me, but I'm gonna send you to her. Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm gonna
That's how
send you
that
to my
goes.
lenders, so then that way we can get you a pre-approval, and uh once you have the pre-approval, then we can go ahead and start looking for a house.
You're in charge it. Now y'all can go house hunting.
Right, right. So Lisa,
So
what is
let's
it?
talk about that because they
Right,
will get a pre-approval. They need to know what that is.
right. So
And
right, that's what I was like. So Lisa, what does it take to get a pre-approval?
so we need a blood sample. I need to know the social security number of your dog. I'm just playing. I don't need all of that. I don't. Okay, so but for real, we need to have first of all, you got to fill out an application. So on the application, we're going to ask you for some demographic type information. You know, of course, you give your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number. So don't be surprised when I ask for that, your date of birth. I cannot pull credit because that's part of what I do for the pre-approval. And I'm not able to look and do a true credit inquiry unless you provide all of the information that I asked for. So those things at minimum I would need to have just to be able to. Hi, doggy. See, I need that dog. Is that Brutus? I need Brutus social security number. If you want to buy this
Somebody's coming in.
house. Okay. Um, and so then after we get that information, we also take information in regards to your history. So for example, we're looking at work history, we're looking at rent history, we're looking at savings history, all of that. So I kind of look at that as what we'll call the CIA, the credit, the income, and the assets. And I have to have all of those things in order to do an adequate job of providing a pre-approval. For some reason, I don't know why people do this. I don't agree with it, but we still have some lenders out here apparently that are not actually doing pre-approvals. They're doing the pre-qualification, and you don't want that. You
Right.
want to be pre-approved. A pre-qualification, if they're not asking you, well, I'm not even going to say them, because you shouldn't be talking to them anyway. You should be talking to the house money mama, because this is where you need to go. I got everything you need. So when you come and talk to me, I'm going to be asking you for all of that information that I just referenced. Anybody who tells you that they don't need that information, they are not doing an adequate job of actually providing a pre-approval, because if any of that is missing, it can have impact on, one, whether or not I'm able to pre-approve you, or also it could have an impact on how I'm able to pre-approve you. Like, for example, if you have something where I haven't checked your paycheck stubs, let's just say you say, oh, where I make $19.59 per hour. Oh, okay, that's great. But over the past couple of years, you haven't done, a full 40 hours per week every week, or your pay was different. You just got, all of a sudden you got a COVID bump in income. And so now you were making 15.59 an hour. Now you're making 19.59 an hour, something like that. That's going to make a difference, because I have to average your income. So when you give that information, I need to be able to verify. Not that I don't believe you. I ain't saying you're lying. That's not it. But I need to be able to verify that information, so I know the actual numbers that we're working with. A good loan officer is going to do as many things up front as they know that they can do in order to prepare you to go before an underwriter. My job is to get you approved. I'm not your enemy. I'm the one who's there on your side. We're part of the same team. So my job is to help you to get approved. So that's why I need the information. So having all the information, all the details, that helps me to put together a realistic pre-approval. So you're not out there looking for a $300,000 house when you can only buy one that's $225, because that's a hurting feeling. I've seen it happen before over the years, not with me personally, but like with other people that I've worked with. I've seen it where, you get to a transaction and you really weren't qualified the correct way to begin with. That's a hurting feeling when you have your heart set on a house, and then you realize
Right.
you're not going to be able to buy it. That
Yeah.
doesn't feel good. I never want to see anybody experience that. So that's why I try really, really hard. I'm not perfect, but I try really hard to get everything done up front that I know how to do. So that way you are truly qualified for what I tell you is on that pre-approval letter.
Okay. Right. And if you see here, she said we have her application link down here, so you definitely can go ahead and start an application with her, and she will get back with you. So, all right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we do
So,
have.
if I
Mhm.
don't know if you want to kind of dive into this a little bit, we got a couple minutes. I'll take maybe 2 more minutes to just to kind of finish up that part. Um, for the pre-approval part, you want to keep in mind a couple of things. One, what your credit looks like. Obviously, if you can work on that ahead of time, then you want to do that. It is a myth that you have to have a 640, in order to qualify for a loan. That's not true. For me personally, the company that I represent, I can go down to a 580 on FHA. Technically, I can go down to a 500, but you'd have to put 10% down. Most people don't want to do that. They only want to do 3.5%, which is fine. But at a 580 as your middle score, because I do look at all three of the credit bureaus. So when I do that, and I take the middle score between the three, like for example, if you have a 610, a 620, and a 630, for me, I'm going to use the 620, the score that's right in the middle, as the one that's going to drive the transaction. Okay.
Right. So
Um,
what happens though if somebody does have a lower score? So a lot of people like, well, I'm a first time home buyer, and I could get all these grant that I could get the first time home buyers money.
Well, unfortunately, we do live in a time and space where there are a lot of myths that kind of, go around, or sometimes it's misinformation, sometimes it's misunderstood information, sometimes it's information that's not delivered in its entirety. That's probably the biggest problem. Yes, first time home buyers can get some things. There are programs that would be able to help first time home buyers. Actually, FHA, just as a product in general, really is for first time buyers, because of the fact that when you buy going FHA, you only have to put down 3.5%. Try doing that going conventional, they're going to want you to put down 5%. So, I mean, those kind of things do make a difference. But probably the biggest thing that I see, which is a little bit of pet peeve for me, people have a tendency to think that just because they are a first time buyer, that now means that they're entitled to these different kinds of programs and grants and things like that. And that's not the case. You still have to qualify. So when somebody says you need a 640 credit score, that would be true for a down payment assistance program because that's their requirement. For me as a lender, that's not my requirement. But as a down payment assistance program where they're giving you money, that's their requirement. Another thing that they do a lot of times, this is why I caution to carefully consider whether or not a down payment assistance program is for you or not. They will restrict what we refer to in the industry as your back end debt to income ratio. What that basically means is that it shrinks the amount of house that you can buy. So let's just say that because you're going to get a down payment assistance program, you can only have a DTI that goes up to 45. Whereas with me going FHA, I can take your DTI up to 56. So now that might mean that instead of being able to buy that $250,000 house, you might only be able to buy one that costs about $195.
Right. And so when we talk about debt, was it debt to income ratio?
Yeah.
One of the things that is true, and people always need to know. So if you're going to buy a house, you don't go buy the car first.
That's right. That is right.
Drive your Humpty until we get you into a house.
Yes, and then, please and thank you.
Right. Then we can go ahead and get you into the car later, right? House first, no big purchases. And then, once she gets you the pre-approval, no purchases after it either. So
absolutely. That's something I usually put in my pre-approval letter when I send off the email to let people know that I now have pre-approved them. I let people know, listen, anything you planning on doing with your finances from here on out, it's my business now. You need to let me know. Because if you go to try to finance something, even just the inquiry is going to cause a red flag for an underwriter. So you don't even want people looking at your credit while you're going through this process, but let alone buying something, because then now if you do purchase something, you sign on the dotted line for that, then now that means that debt has to be factored into your debt to income ratio. And remember, there's a limit. I can only go up so high. So if we get past that threshold, now guess what? You don't qualify to buy the house at all now, because now there's no more room in your debt to income ratio. I actually had a lady that I referred her to someone else. So she didn't do it to me. She did it to them. But she was refinancing her house in Indiana. And they was like, oh, let's go. We're going to have this money. We're doing a cash out. Let's go buy some furniture. I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
They went out and bought some stuff. And then they end up taking it back because of the fact that it was going to push their debt to income ratio up too high. And it would have disqualified them from the loan. So
right. So I called my client. I said, hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's my weekly check-in. See how you doing? He said, oh, I'm just out here test driving the car. Excuse me? You doing right. He's test driving the car.
You just want to feel good today. You just want to know what that feels like. So after you buy your house, then you know which one you want to go back and get, right?
Right. Because no, I said, you cannot buy a car while you're in the process of buying a home. He says, oh, shoot, hold on. Let me tell them to not run my credit.
True story.
True story. So please, we're doing all the work to get you there. You got to participate too, right? So,
right. Yeah. You definitely have to do your part. It's very much a team effort. Yeah. Everything that we do for, our customers, we all have to work together. So, what else? There was something else I was going to mention. Give me a second. Credit income. Oh, okay. So another thing, just thinking about your credit. You can actually kind of do a little bit of a calculation yourself, have an idea of like what it is that you have on your credit. Like how Dion had mentioned, just being mindful of opening up new credit. You definitely want to do that. And also there's a really positive change that happened just within the past couple of months with our regulations and guidelines. So normally with the student loans, we have to take 1% of the outstanding balance that you owe and then factor that in as part of your debt to income ratio. They actually decreased that now. So I have a couple of people that, because of that happening, they now qualify. They didn't qualify at first to be able to buy what they wanted to buy, but now because of the fact that I don't have to hold as much debt against them because of the regulations changing, so now got a few more people to qualify. You might be one. If you're listening to this today, and maybe somebody told you, that they don't think you qualify because you have too much debt, come back to me. I can help you figure that out and see what it is. We have a tendency to be creative. We don't do stuff we're not supposed to do. Creative don't mean that I'm doing something, against guidelines or unethical. We're not those kind of people. But within the guidelines and parameters, we'll do everything that we can, to look at every angle to see how we can get you approved. So just something to keep in mind as far as your debt and everything goes. Another thing that sometimes gets past people is child support. If you're paying it or receiving it, it will count. So if you're paying it, it's kind of against you, sorry. But if you're receiving it, it's actually a good thing because we can possibly use that as part of the income to qualify you for your loan. Yep. Okay. So that's your first part, pre-approval. Once you get that,
right.
then you know what
and that's why we start there, right? That's why we start there, because pre-approval can take a little while, right? It's not something that happens immediately. Sometimes you might be able to, you got to make sure you have your documents and everything and get them to her as fast as possible. But sometimes it may take a little longer because you got to kind of maneuver some things around in order to be able to get that pre-approval. So then once we have it, we can go looking. Because if I take you out looking and we find the house, we got the house. Now everything has to be rushed. We don't want to rush. We want to rush. We want to make sure we take our time and get things right. So
right.
So let's see. Yeah, okay. I thought we might have had a question. So if you have any questions, let us know. I know we do have someone that said that they want to talk to House Money Mama after, but you can put your questions right here, and share with us. But you would do the pre-approval. Now it's time to look for a house. So we stay within our budget. You have to be familiar what areas you want to look in, because as a realtor, I'm not supposed to actually take you to different areas. It's really for you to decide what areas you want to go to. And then we can go out and look at the different houses. I definitely set up search for you, search alerts that come to you real time when the property comes on the market. And then that allows us to be able to go out and search and find the house that we want. So then we can, once we get it, we can place an offer down. And that's where the team comes back into play again, because Lisa and I are always talking about the offer before we put the offer down, right? Is the taxes too high? We got to stay in her guidelines. She's going to give us some guidelines for your pre-approval. And unfortunately, Illinois has some high taxes in some areas, right? So typically you can't really afford that $10,000 taxes, most of the time. But we'll know, right? We'll set it up in your pre-approval what your highest tax rate can be. And then, say for instance, we see something that we've approved you for 4,000 taxes. Lisa has, not me, but we, right? She's approved you for 4,000 in taxes, and we see a house with 6. So that helps us. We know we have to go back and make sure will this go through? And that's an important part of making sure that you make it to the end, right? Because there's a lot of times, people don't, include some of those things into the equation. We put the offer down, not working with our lender to make sure everything's okay. we're off and running, and then we're like,
Right.
right.
And I want to say something else too, because I think that this is very helpful. Not everybody necessarily does this, but a lot of times, if we can open up a dialogue between us as a team and the seller side, I think that's helpful. Most of the times, if I have a seller that calls me, I think I've only had maybe once where it didn't go in our favor. But every other time, if the seller has called me, they have a conversation with me about the pre-approval, and the fact that I'm very thorough with what I do from the very beginning, that makes them feel so much more comfortable, because there are people, unfortunately, I mean, it worked well for me.
Right.
Because then that when they see somebody that does it the right way, and that's really all I'm doing, I'm just doing things the right way, because this is how you should do it anyway. But when they see that, it makes them feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more apt to heavily consider your offer, just because of your team. So I mean, it really does make a difference who you work with. It matters. It does matter.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
just want to kind of throw that out there, because I know sometimes people are like, well, what difference does it make? Everybody's the same. That's not the case. It really isn't
Right.
the case.
Yeah.
So keeping in mind who you work with and what you do and how things are done, that has an impact on your transaction from the very beginning to the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely does. A
So
lot of
now we
people.
got the offer, and let's say that the offer was accepted. So now what?
Well, that's where the next part is. Basically, we do a home inspection, right? So, a
Mhm.
home inspection is something that's suggested, not
Yeah.
required, but it's suggested because when you're going around, when you're purchasing a home, you really want to know the most about the house, like, and that's what the home inspector is there for. So he's
Yeah.
right. They're there to let you know if there's going to be some electrical problems, if your roof is, the condition of your roof, the condition of your plumbing, and you can also ask for safety and hazard requests back to the seller, right? So there's something that the inspector has identified, let's say with your electrical. Those are
Mhm.
things that you can go back after your home inspection and ask the seller to either one give you a credit where
Yeah.
you'll be using that later on to repair whatever is needed, or to ask them to fix the item. Um
Right. And at the
so
same time, while that's going on, so now this is the part where we're really into the nitty gritty now, because now we have a contract, and because there's a contract, that means that there's obligations, and every one of those obligations has a date attached to it. So
mhm.
it's not you can take your time getting things. This is rush time now. Now we try hurry up, get everything done. If I ask you for it today, you need to have it to me yesterday.
Right,
So
right.
because now we're trying to make sure that we meet all the obligations of the contract. So at the same time, while you guys are planning the inspection and things like that, so there's a big part that we're doing as the lender as well. Me and Dion, we work very much in tandem. So we're consistently doing things on your behalf, separately, but still as part of the same team. So while you guys are doing that, now I'm preparing your file for the underwriter. So you're going to get a package from me. It's going to be probably about 67 pages long, and you're going to need to sign the package, acknowledge that you received it. There's probably going to be a link that's going to ask you to pay for an appraisal after you sign the package. The appraisal is a requirement, like how she just mentioned that the
Home
inspection
inspection.
is not a requirement. The appraisal is very much a requirement. It's something that the lender needs to have, because they have to ascertain value of the subject property before they'll make a determination as to whether or not they will put a lien on the house, to do the mortgage. So that is a requirement. It usually costs between $5 and maybe $575 for a single family home of an average size. And then once that is ordered, we have to wait for them to go out. Right now, appraisals are still kind of lagging a little bit. They're not
Hmm.
they're not coming through quickly. They used to come through within 7 days or less. You have your appraisal back. That's not the case right now. Sometimes it's taking 7 days just to get them scheduled. But
Wow.
Yeah,
No, it's busy. It's
it's
a
still
busy
busy.
time. So,
It's still busy season. Yep.
hmm
It hasn't really slowed down for us yet. So, but thank God, we ain't complaining.
right, no, not at
We
all.
like to be able to help as many people as we can. So we are not
Right,
complaining.
right.
But
We have some goals, so help us reach our goals for this year, guys. So we want you to reach your goal and help us reach our goal.
there
So,
you go. We all work together. Everybody win.
mhm.
So
So,
after you get the disclosure package signed and everything, now your file goes into underwriting. This is the point where the one who's going to make the decision on your file is looking at it now, because it's not me. I'm the loan officer, but I'm not the one that says yay or nay as far as the funds being used to put a lien on your house. I'm not the person that does that. So the underwriter looks at their file and gives you what I like to refer to as a honeydew list. And so on that list, we really call it a conditional approval. But on that list is basically what you have to do is stuff for you to do as a borrower. There's stuff usually for the team to do, especially if it's FHA. There's stuff for the title people to do. It's like there's something that everybody has to do. Once everybody has done the part that's been required by the underwriter, then the underwriter will issue what we call a clear to close. And that means that you go and you sit down, you sign all the papers, this time in person. It's not electronically signed now. You sign them all in person by hand. And then at the end of that is when you get your keys.
keys, right.
Because now you are officially a new homeowner.
hmm So it's a lot. Yeah, we a lot of times people are like, whew, that was a lot of stuff, but
Yeah,
because it's a big investment for
it
you.
is.
Right. And so there's definitely some key parts in the process to make sure that you're doing the right things, making sure that you're safe and covered. And
Yeah,
so, and we would try to make sure that that happens for you. So, one, starting with the pre approval, making sure that we're searching for the right house that meets your financial needs, right?
hmm,
In the end, too, the inspection and the appraisals just to make sure that the house that you're getting is actually a good house for you as well, and for the bank, the appraisals for the bank. Right,
yep.
right,
Yes, it is.
right. But and then we as a team are here, just really to help you through the process and hold your hand and make sure that it's easy for you. But we definitely want to make sure that you have a great experience as far as buying a house and getting what, Lisa? The
Pre-approved.
the key.
Oh, the keys. You're
That
funny.
key. Right. So,
All I'm thinking about is the pre-approval. Y'all
right.
pre-approved. You're not pre-approved, you need to call me. We need to get you pre-approved.
Right. So definitely anybody have any questions, let us know. Mm-mm.
I didn't see any other questions come up
Yeah,
on the
I didn't
screen.
see any questions. But
Yeah.
you can always get in touch with Lisa J. Williams White, like home
House
out
money,
there.
mama.
Right. House Money Mom. This her phone number. You could definitely give her a call.
Yes.
You can still contact me. Even you contact Lisa first, but let me know you're interested, and then we can start some search alerts and things like that for you to prepare you for our search. So we
Right.
go to Lisa first, and then we come to me. So we're here for you. Water Cooler Wednesday. We're always here on Facebook for you. You have any questions? You always just send them to us so that we can answer them for you. So
Yeah. Before we close out, I do just want to say one other thing, because we see this a lot with the people that we work with. Trust the process. Just trust the process. Sometimes it can be difficult, because it's such a big transaction. I mean, I think on the average, probably, um, when we do contracts and stuff, people are probably spending $200,000 or so to buy a home. That's a lot of
mhm,
money. I
Yeah.
mean, so you think about the amount of investment, that's going into your transaction, and we definitely can understand why you could be apprehensive, or you could be nervous, or you could be unsettled at times. You don't know. There's so many moving parts. Listen, I've been doing this for over 10 years, probably about 12 or 13. Um, I still I don't worry about all of the moving parts. I worry about the moving parts that I am responsible for. And that's what you need to do as a borrower as well. When you're buying the house, you never gonna know every little thing that goes on with this loan. You just not. There's too
Yeah.
many moving parts. You're not gonna be able to keep up with it all. So don't allow yourself to fall into that severe stress, because we have seen people do that time and time again. And then, like one of my sayings is, at the end of the day, it all works out.
Yeah.
So
It
regardless
does.
of what it looks like right now, this is what it look like at noon, but at 6 p.m. it's gonna look like something completely different. So don't stress yourself. I'm good about knowing when to stress about something. I promise I will tell you.
Right. And the thing about it is, Lisa and I, it's not just Lisa and I. We have attorneys that we work with. That the attorney is there to hold your hand through the
Yep.
process as well, and great connections with insurance. So we have a team. We definitely have a team that's out here. A lot of those people have been our guests throughout the show, where you
Mm-hmm.
can definitely know that we're going to partner with great people to make your home buying process a success. So,
Yep.
mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you very much. We're glad you're here. We're here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. House Money Mama and Deion Branch from EXP Realty. So, you need anything
Wait,
from
how do I
us?
do this? There
Right.
you go.
Right. Right. Right, you need anything from us, just let us know. We're always here. You can always come chat with us at any time. We definitely want to answer your questions and make your
Yes,
process easy. So,
absolutely. All right, everybody, have a great night. Hope you got your fill of water on the water cooler Wednesday. You should be refreshed now.
yes.
Bye.